Hello and welcome to Middle-Aged Geek Girl. I'm Sally. So in this video, it is my completed colouring pages for the month of July 2022. So let's get into it. Now, first of all, for me, this is very unusual. I actually have two whips that I started at the beginning of the month. I'm actually filming this towards the 3/4 mark of the month so that I can edit it when I come out of hospital. So I have actually two pages I have not finished and I wasn't rushing them. So yeah, I'm embracing whips for the first time. So I'm a bit excited about that. So the first one, I actually took it out of the book. It's from this Japanese puzzle colour by numbers, and it is this page. And I originally took it out of the book. They are designed to actually come out of the book. As you can see, there's a line. It's not perforated. You actually have to cut it off. But I was going to use watercolour pencils, and I started using watercolour pencils. I wasn't really sure the paper, although it's quite thick, I'm not sure it was thick enough for watercolour. So then I went on to my Derwent pencils that are 30 plus years old, and then I moved on to some of my Brutfuner pencils. But yeah, that one's only got this much done, so I'll finish this one off in August. Or not, it really depends on how my healing goes after the surgery. I'm not going to put myself under any pressure whatsoever. And the second whip I have is this one. Now, I did see this when a random video popped up on my YouTube, and I cannot remember where I saw it from, but it's not an original idea from me. But it is a sort of an alternative to colouring, and it's to go over something like this that's a black pattern or a Zentangle pattern with a gold metallic pen. So as you can see, I've only done that much because it is extremely time consuming, but at the same time you can just chill out. I was listening to some an audio book while I was doing it. Yeah, and you can just completely zone out. It's obvious why this one's a whip, because it is going to take a fair bit of time to do it. And that's the pen I'm using. It's just a Crayola Signatures metallic gold pen. So yeah, quite happy to have whips, embracing the old whips. This month I only did a couple of pages in a colour by number sort of, I consider these, they're not colour by number, but easier type of colouring books. Most of my colouring was straight colouring, which is really unusual for me. So we'll start with this one, which is your inverted mandalas. And I only did the one, and I used Sharpies. So they weren't metallic or anything special. They were just standard Sharpies for this one. I think they were the pastel set I got a while ago. And I used 4 of the 8 colours. Animals, lines and dots, I did 2 out of this one. So we've got a big, cute, cuddly bear, although I do know they are dangerous and would eat me up, but I still think they're adorable. And this was done with the Montmartre dot markers, so it makes a lot more sense to do these circle ones with the dot marker rather than colouring in each circle. So I think that looks really cool. And the second one is this one, and it's some wolves. And this was done with brush marker. I think it was a Faber-Castell really cheap brush marker. And I think that looks fantastic too. So it was July, and I know a lot of people like to do Christmas in July. Plus it also fit into my South Hemi winter 2022. So I did 5 out of this book. Yeah, I just chose to do the one colour for the background rather than split it up over 2 colours, and I like that. That was my choice to make. I mean, these are guides of colours, you don't have to stick to it, but everything else is as it is. These books, I really do like the stained glass ones. Again, I just stuck with the one colour on the background. That one I did it as the 2 colours. I think the green I'm using, which is a yellow green, is a bit too bright. This is definitely fluorescent green. Very in your face. And there's that one. But yeah, these books are cool, and I don't have many Christmas colouring books. I think this might be the only dedicated Christmas colouring book I have, because Halloween's more my thing, not Christmas. So I thought I'd do Christmas in July. So they were the 5 from that. Now, as I said, everything else is just normal or straight colouring. So the first one I did was, I'll zoom in for this one because he's only little. Aldi in Australia had these watercolour pads in the shop a while ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, but they had like an A4 sized watercolour pad and then these smaller card size ones. So I tried my hand out watercolor pencils and I've done Eeyore. I went over everything with a black fine liner after I coloured it in because I really didn't like it when I'd done it. I am still new at all watercolor mediums, so I was really down on it, really hated it, but then I went over it with the black fine liner and I think it pops and I actually quite like it now. So that's my Eeyore. Now the next book, this book was a purchase after I saw it on Lavella's colouring. She showed the flip through and did a speed colour on it and I absolutely fell in love with the book. If you haven't seen Lavella's flip through, you'll see why in a moment. I've done 2 pages. I did the cover. I did these with alcohol markers because this book is sort of designed to do with the alcohol marker, because what happens is when you colour in the front page, the back page also gets coloured. It will show better in the rest of the book because this is just the front page. So as you can see, in one side they will black out certain areas and in the other part they'll leave it white. So with alcohol markers, as it leaks through, it looks fantastic. So you get 2 pages for the price of 1. And here's the other page I coloured. As you can see, every bit on the right side of the page is all for colour. There's no blacked out parts. And I did this with my Ohuhu pastel set of alcohol markers. And when you look at the reverse, they have some parts blacked out, but that's how the reverse looks. So yeah, I don't black out the parts. The parts in the book are already blacked out, so you get one side. And so I chose to put yellow in the parts that would be blacked out on the other side. And that's the flip side. And so I really do like this book. I love the idea of it and I hope more books start to do that. So that's the Far Out Space Adventure colouring book. Okay, the next book is Horoscope, an eerie adult colouring book. I did 2 from this one. So this is a book of horoscopes. So the time frame I coloured this in is for Cancer. So I coloured in the Cancer figure. Cancer is June 21 to July 22 and it means crab in Latin. So I just wrote that information there just to give it a bit more. And I used my Ohuhu pastel colour alcohol markers again. And the second one I did was this one. Now this I did with Ohuhu alcohol markers, but the grey set that was out, and they're brush tip nibs. So for me it's good to have some Ohuhus that have a brush tip as well as the chisel tip, so I can learn to use the brush tip a bit better. And I'm actually really happy with how this one came out. I love more. I must say, I don't know, something went right for me in July. I'm actually happy with all of my colouring for the month, and I was trying new things and trying a lot more straight colouring, and I'm happy with it. It seems to be a little bit of a step up from what my usual output is. So I'm really happy with those ones, and they were from Horoscope, an eerie adult colouring book. Evil Chibi by Abby Dev. I did 3 out of this one this month, which is a lot for me. So this one, I used the Ohuhu alcohol markers, some Crayola gel pen, and washi tape. So I wanted to try something new, and I did the blanket in washi tape and the outside of the armchair in washi tape. Really love the way the blanket came out. Not 100% happy with the armchair, but I do love the blanket, and I'm a bit rough cutting out the washi tape, as you could see, because you do need to be a bit delicate or you will cut through the book. I've had to put some tape all over where I was cutting out the washi tape because I was cutting through the page quite easily. I am very heavy-handed with everything I do. Now this one I just did simply with the Ohuhu metallic markers. I wanted to give them a run just to see how they worked, and that's all I used on this page was just those Ohuhu metallic markers. There is a swatching of the colours on my channel if you are interested in seeing them, but I mean I like the way the page turned out because it was mostly had the black background already, so I just had to colour a little bit, and I mean I like the way it came out. It's a bit different. And the last page, I absolutely love this page. I think this page is really cool. And again, it was those Ohuhu alcohol markers, the grey pack with the brush nib, and I also used a gel pen and some Mungyo pastels for the grey part here. So this one again is definitely for South Hemi Winter 2022, and I loved using the grey pack because all the colours are obviously muted. They've got the grey tone to them, but I used a bright red for the blood puddle of the head and on the neck. But I'm really happy with this page. I just love it. Love the image and I love how it turned out. Midnight Garden by Coco Wyo. Just did the one. Now, I didn't do any swear word colorings this month, but I did do this instead. Now, some of you might spot it, some of you may not, some of you might think I'm just crass, but I don't care, to be honest. If I see it, I colour it. Now you might notice two flowers are coloured more flesh tone than the rest of the flowers. I don't need to tell you why. I think you can pretty much work out why I coloured those two flowers flesh tone. If you can't work it out, I'm sorry, I'm not explaining it. If I see it, I colour it as such, and the bit I love the most, I put this on my Instagram and, you know, did hashtag Coco Wyo, and they liked the picture, so it was very obvious. I said it in my Instagram post, if I see it, I colour it. And I've done 3 from this one. There's only 2 more books to go, this and another book. Further on from last month's colouring, when I asked how on earth would you colour grayscale snow, I got a couple of suggestions and I tried them out. So the first one here is done with alcohol markers. So the whole background, everything that's got colour on it is done with alcohol markers. Then what I did with the snow, I didn't colour any of the snow in. I just went over the outline, like where they've got the grey line art. I just went over that with the Life of Colour paint marker, and I think this comes out really well. So this was done by, again, not colouring in any of the grayscale area, just outlining the line art with a paint pen, a really bright white paint pen, and I think that comes across quite well. So I like that one. This one was another suggestion, not quite to the extent I did it, but I did this one similarly. I did alcohol markers to colour it in, and if you are noticing weird splotches or marks on her skin, I did colour it purposely like that. If she's talking to 2 fairy creatures, I didn't want her to necessarily be a human. But what I did with this one, I used, I think it was the Signo gel pen on the line art, and then someone in my comments, and I can't remember who, maybe it was you, Glitter Ghost, not 100% sure, suggested that I cover the snow in glitter, which I did, but how I did it was I covered the entire page. Now I'm going to, hopefully the light catches that, except for her. I didn't cover her in it, but I covered the whole page where like snow would technically fall. So from the sky and on the ground in a clear glitter, and I'm just hoping this comes through. I'll know in editing whether or not it does. That was a second option. I went mad with the, like I said, I covered the whole page apart from her. I just went mad with the with the glitter. But that was another option I like. And the third one I did, well, I just went for an unnatural snow colour. I just went ice blue on this one. So I just coloured the snow in basically. just blue. And I did a little bit of glitter gel pen, which again, you can't necessarily see very well just on where the line art was, but I did the rest of it with alcohol markers. I think these are meant to be dogs. They're the strangest looking animals. They're like wolves, baby wolves to me, or chibi wolves. I'm not quite sure what they're supposed to be. But that was the 3 ways I did snow this month. So thank you everybody for helping me with suggestions on that one. And the lucky last book, I did 2 out of this art therapy book, Menagerie and More. Now I just did straight colorings in these ones, no fancy altered pages this time. I just really have been getting a bit nervous about my upcoming surgery. Again, by the time you see this, the surgery would have been done, but the time of filming, it's upcoming, so I just wanted something just not having to think too hard about it. So I thought I'd do this repeating pattern jellyfish page and this repeating pattern ladybugs and flowers page. I think this one was done with a Hoo dual water-based markers, and this one was done with alcohol markers. How you can always tell if you get the picture on the back, you know it's alcohol markers. I love this book because there's so many creative things you can do with it, but it is starting to fall apart a bit, so I've got to be careful when I turn the pages. So that was the last page that I did in July 2022. As I said, for me, there were a lot more colouring pages than colour by number type pages this month, and I think I stepped up my game. I'm not saying I'm perfect or brilliant because I'm still not, nowhere near it. But for me, I stepped up my game in colouring, and I'm happy. That means I'm a bit more comfortable and I'm willing to try more things. So yeah, let me know down below in the comments what you thought of these pages. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. If you are new and you've just stumbled across my channel, please consider subscribing. That would be awesome. Everybody hit that notification bell so you're up to date with when I have uploaded my latest video. And especially while I'm healing, I just don't know how often that's going to be. So it's a good time to hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. If you're interested in supporting my channel further, I do have a Ko-fi and a Patreon account set up, and the details are up here on screen. I think that will do it for this video. So everybody, no matter where you are, please stay safe, stay weird, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.